Hi everyone. After my last post, I was thinking maybe I will start to show you videos and recordings that actually changed my musical approach, my approach to instrument, my approach to violin playing. And those are recordings that I listened to some time ago, so I don't remember all of them extremely well, but I do remember what effect it had on me back then. So I propose to jump immediately on them. The first one will be a recording of Heifetz, which you probably already know, some of you, and for those who don't, I will be very happy to hear about your impressions. Okay, for the rest you will listen to it yourself because I'm not allowed to have too much of the video, obviously. I can listen to it many times, and I encourage you also to do the same. The thing is, why would I like to share that with you in the first place? I would like to share that with you in the first place because I think the aesthetic, of course, changed a lot. The aesthetic of standing, the aesthetic of staying very focused with a face, etc. This all changed a lot, and of course, if one looks today, one sees first of all that it's black and white, so it's old, and it's not HD quality, and also the sound, you can hear actually the and the sound of the violin sounds not at all like an actual violin would sound today. And probably, as you can see here, I'm myself really much into recording and into learning about the quality of violin, how it should sound, how one should get the sound through the microphones, through very good microphones. And of course, you will never get a sound today with the technology of today. You will never get a sound which sounds totally like this because of the filters, because of the amp microphones with lamps, and etc. But still, even if you go through all those filters of sound, you can actually start to hear a sound which is extremely linear, extremely well put. So it means he starts a note and then this note resonates immediately, full sound, and then it just naturally goes until the end. A little bit like a piano. If you put a note on the piano, it will pop out immediately the whole sound of the note, and then it will start to fade away. And that's what the old masters kind of had in order to make the sound very natural. Sometimes they would sustain the sound, but they would never sustain the sound without controlling how much they sustain. So if, for example, they would start on the note, they would sustain, but without making any crescendo or without making any kind of waves into the sound. And this is what we hear from the very first note from Heifetz, that he takes the note and it's immediately there. He doesn't search in order to get into the sound. It's puff, it's there. And this aesthetic, of course, it takes a lot of work in order to master the proper weight, proper speed, proper amount of weight per speed, etc. etc. It's a very tricky notion, but the guys back then used to practice on that pretty much a lot. Another element which you will probably notice immediately from the very first phrase is this element of shifting down and shifting up. So what is this shifting? Is that a thing of, making something romantic, so we shift back and forth? No, that's not exactly the case. What we actually do with the shifting is that we are imitating the singing. Because if we're imitating the singing, we're imitating what I will do now. I use a lot of this, but that comes kind of natural if you want to sing this romantic, beautiful music. What the guys did back then, they just sang. They were just singing on the violin how it would come naturally to the voice. And obviously romantic music like this piece of Rondo Capriccioso, Introduction in Rondo Capriccioso of Camille Saint-Saens, is very romantic. And the more romantic the piece is, the more you have to sing in a beautiful way, in an emotional way. So that's what he does. Then another element which is absolutely mind-blowing is the technique. If you pay attention on his technique, it's never a technical passage that comes out. Technique is a part of the composition, but it is not something that we would pay attention. Oh, look how technical perfectly it is because he plays technical. Not at all. It's a part of a picture that he gives us in this first page of Introduction and Rondo Capriccioso. There is the music, and then there are little ornaments which are technical, yes, but there is not such a focus on technique that now it's technical, now I have to focus on the technique. By his whole atmosphere, by his whole body, he looks already in the focus from the first note until the end. So the technique doesn't seem like technique. The technique doesn't catch us like being, oh, look, he's playing technical passage and he's doing it very well. No, it's a part of the music. And I encourage you, and I would like you to please continue with the listening of the whole Rondo Capriccioso, because if I remember well, above all, it will be in the... You should listen from minute 4, a little bit before 4. He stays with the same focus as if he would play a technical passage. So it is as hard as a technical passage because his focus is totally on the notes, on the intonation, on the musical idea that he wants to give. And this is not easier than technique. And vice versa, technique is not more difficult than a musical passage like this one, where he's focusing his strength and his musical devotion to every note. And when you look at his face, you can see the focus, you can see how much he's working. For the people who know about Heifetz, for sure, you will know how much Heifetz was working, how professional he was. He was waking up every morning to practice scales and to write some music and to actually make arrangements on the piano himself. He used to be a fantastic pianist. By the way, those are going to be things that I'm going to share with you in the next videos. He was not only a violinist, and his devotion to his instrument was huge. So you can see that not only in technical passages, not only in musical passage, you get the impression from the very first moment he comes on stage. He's in the music, he's in his things, he's totally focused, and this is going to stay from the very first second of the video until the very last second of the video. So I hope you enjoyed this video with my little insight about Mr. Jascha Heifetz, which I believe was one of the greatest violinists of all times. This is personally my favorite first impression that I had from his playing when I was a kid, and I wish you a lot of joy watching this video and trying to understand the elements that I talked about. So first, the sound, the way he picks up the sound from the very first moment, without waves, without kind of evolution in the sound too much. Everything stays very controlled, everything stays extremely natural, almost like a piano playing. Then the singing that the piano cannot do with the shifts between the notes, where you want to sing and to show an interval by singing it with the violin. And then pay attention, obviously, on his focus, the way he's focusing himself on the technique, on the musical part, that everything is part of one. From the first note to the last note, he's in the music and one sees it immediately. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will go and prepare the next one with a next little insight, what I want to share with you and what do I want to talk about with you. If you like the video, please just write some comments. If you didn't like the video, if there's something you didn't get or you don't understand or you would like to add, please leave it in the comments. I'll be very happy to read it. Bye, and see you in next video.